Great to have your company for a huge episode of Rugby Heaven on your home of Rugby Stand Sport. Super Rugby Pacific Round 4, and we're celebrating Club Rugby Round. Justin Harrison, Morgans. We're salivating and celebrating. I don't know what that means.
No wonder they've asked us back in here, the OG Rugby Heaven people, to save this place.
We need what is it? A rising tide lifts all boats. That's what it is. But Club Rugby Round, how good. We're celebrating the grassroots of this great game. And the three of us here representing clubs that mean a great deal to us. Jeeps Rugby for me. Who are you wearing there? Cool.
Southern Cross University Gold Rats. Where am I?
Gold Rats.
Straight down somewhere. If you're play Where's Wally, there's a young Darren Coleman standing just to the left of me or right of me as you're looking at that. It's
very hard to spot you.
Tony Goodwin. The names just roll off. Dave Graham, an ex-Randwick prop. That was after we'd won the grand final in 1993 at the Oaks Oval in Lismore. That was my first year of rugby union.
So how old were you?
Oh, gee, if I could have a word to me back then now. And
what would you say?
Give me a few cautionary tales.
Maybe is that one of the things
probably what you'd say. I'm not sure. I know that I wore this jersey for 3 weeks straight after the grand final. Attended 0 lectures, and I washed it yesterday to try and get a bit of this stain off, and I nearly disappeared Rodney, the running rat. So he's still there.
So you washed this, and there's still stains on it.
And
what
the motto,
stains like beforehand?
The general motto was putting the rum back into rugby. So it was pretty good.
Rumming rugby. How
there
good.
You go you rat.
Nice.
Morgs?
Clow Valley Eagles, that's my local club as a kid. I couldn't fit into the underage jersey. I started at 5 years of age, and I was very lucky to go to a club like that. You know, all the kids from the local school, the local Catholic school, we walked down the road and played together all the way through there, played with a lot of guys from the age of 5 right through to school at Waverley College into Randwick when you get into the bigger kid stuff, and I made some lifelong mates.
Yeah, and I did fit into an under-8s polo today for Jeeps Rugby. Thank you very
big
much.
On you, actually. Funny about that.
That's why I was able to fit into it, Morgs. Thank you.
You still shop at Seed, don't you?
We're off to a flyer. We're off to an absolute flyer. We'll be celebrating all things club rugby right throughout the weekend.
That is one of your best. That is so good. That is one of your
I was hoping to move on, Morgs.
I was just in the house of doubt then. You know, got it wrong. That's gone down like a lead balloon.
No, well played. 1-0. Massive episode of Rugby Heaven coming your way. We preview some massive matches in round 4 of Super Rugby Pacific while we also celebrate club rugby. There's been some big news in the world of our game this week. That news there, Dave Rennie to take over as the All Blacks coach, former Wallabies coach. We're going to chat about that. And of course, another Legends 15 position is up for grabs this week in our Super Rugby all-time 15. That man, Goog.
Imposter.
One of his great highlights. He's a nominee for the lock position.
Yeah, no, that's... you remember that show, Faking It? They used to roll a person into an environment and they would fake it and just see how long they could go till they got found out.
That could be the name of this show.
That's it. Every time I see that try, I'm faking it. There's no way I should be in a Legends 15. And how David Giffin's not in there, I don't know.
You're
the Milli Vanilli of world-class locks.
Absolutely. World's tallest street mime.
Stop talking yourself down. Well, I was coming in to hear your speech. Pick me.
Yeah, OK, righto. I'll get the Churchillian
we'll do that
ready.
later. Yeah, you can put forward your nomination and why you deserve to be in there. You wouldn't look out of place. We wouldn't look out of place. A massive weekend of Super Rugby Pacific in round 4. A big clash between the Queensland Reds and the Brumbies. It'll feature Wallabies captain Harry Wilson, who is a club man through and through.
So I grew up in Gunnedah. It's about 5 hours north of Sydney in country New South Wales. It's pretty special to be back in my hometown. I got raised here with my brothers and my parents. I lived here till I was 11, where I played my junior footy and I guess where I fell in love with this game. Being down here at the Gunnedah Red Devil fields, I just remember I always wanted to have a ball in my hand and wanting to run around and probably didn't want to listen to anyone besides trying to have fun with my mates. I think I was 3 or 4 years old. I've been the ball kid on this field here, watching first grade playing and I guess wanting to play first grade here and being inspired by those players.
He started playing when he was 4 in the junior rugby with his 2 brothers, which was great fun. I was the coach of that team with the 3 boys. It was wonderful.
Most of our really good friends, you know, all their children played rugby. It was a real community. He loved it. He loved it from day dot.
Harry Wilson was a very talented player as a kid and he just got it. He totally understood the game. I guess that possibly coming from playing with his older brothers. So we had the under-10s, he was still 6, so most of the boys and girls were in the 9-year-olds. So he just had a passion for the game and stood out amongst older children.
Wilson, the captain, backs his way over. The skipper, is he the hero? He claims it.
It's wonderful to see. We're all very proud of him, those who are involved in this rugby club, to see him get to where he's got. And he just plays with such passion. He's quite inspirational to a lot of other younger players around him.
What's your name?
Ignatius.
Ignatius? What's your name?
Reggie.
Reggie, play for Red Devils too? Grassroots rugby, it's so important. It's so probably cliche, the backbone of the rugby, but it really is. Everyone is so proud of the club they come from. That's something I love about rugby union, about the connection in that, and it's it's pretty cool to be back here now.
As we all know, our big superstar Harry Wilson is here today, and we are so grateful. Everyone give him a big clap.
It's great of him to come here today and get to meet all the young kids and can look up to the future to be someone like Harry.
Just enjoy spending time with your friends, because that's ultimately the best thing about playing rugby.
It's pretty special and I like it.
When the young kids understand Harry's background, he's from a local family, they can aspire to that then, because they understand, well, he was just like me.
He played for the Wallabies and he's captain and he's from Gunnedah, and it's just special to have him.
Any country kid, Wallabies or Super Rugby teams are so far away from you, and that was me when I was young. I always wanted to try my best, but I wanted to have fun with my mates, and when you're having fun, you definitely enjoy your footy and you can play a lot better footy.
Loves the Gunnedah Red Devils, does Harry Wilson. Loves the Brothers Rugby Club up there in Brisbane as well, and he loves the Queensland Reds. He'll be playing for them on Saturday night against the Brumbies, which across the park there's some fantastic matchups, Morgs and Goog, but the fact that the Wallabies number 8 and captain is back in the Queensland side and he's been going head-to-head with arguably the form player of the competition in Charlie Cale. Goog, this is one heck of a player head-to-head.
Yeah, it's appetising, isn't it? And this game's full of intrigue, and you don't want to try and single out individuals, but why not? These two humans, Harry Wilson has really worked hard on all areas of his game. He missed out on some selections. He got told by a few coaches that he needed to work on his skills and his footwork. Well, he's putting it all on display now. Everyone wants Harry Wilson on the field in this Reds side. He changes the way that team plays, doesn't he, Morgs?
It was noticeable on the weekend. I thought Fraser McWright played better because Harry Wilson was there. I thought the tight five freed themselves up a bit just to do some graft, knowing they had that bit of experience next to them. That's why it's important when a Wallaby comes back to Super Rugby level, they look like they're a Wallaby. And this is the Wallaby captain. And on the other side of the coin, Charlie Cale, you can't be much more impressed about the first couple of rounds. He was very hard on himself on the weekend as well. But I love the fact, too, that these two guys could go about it very differently. Can't wait to see both of them, what influence they can have. But Cale out wide is about as lethal as you get in Super Rugby, but he also can do the hard graft.
Yeah, there's all sorts of analogies that you'd like to pull out of the back wagon, Wilso's a ute, a Holden ute, HQ ute, doing circle work at the BNS and Gunnedah, right? Charlie Cale is the bloke that rolls in the European convertible and does exactly the same thing as well. But it's just a bit more finesse there. You want to play with Charlie Cale. He's got so many safety features. He's got so much skill on the field. It's tantalising to watch.
So on a head-on, you're back in the ute.
But
then you reckon
Cale's got the 5-star
manoeuvrability.
I would love to see a European convertible roll into a BNS Gunnedah 1 year. That would be outstanding. And you know what will be outstanding is this game. The Reds head to Canberra to take on the Brumbies, who are top of the table. You'll catch it live and exclusive on Stan Sport from 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time. A couple of changes for the Reds, Morgs. Hunter Paisami is out. No Tim Ryan, so they've brought in Filippo Daungunu on the wing for Ryan, and Isaac Henry will come back into Super Rugby, play inside centre.
Yeah, Isaac Henry's a player that I know the Reds coaching staff especially rate very highly. He's had some issues around injury and consistency of being able to be out there. And then the times that the Reds have been without Hunter Paisami, he's been absolutely crucial. So they're very lucky to have that replacement. And Daungunu, Tim Ryan, it's a weird one talking about resting after coming off the bye into a single match. But Daungunu, what I love about Daungunu, especially out wide, and we talked about on between two posts, is his ability to challenge over the ball, slow down the ball out wide. You get that back rower presence, but then you also don't miss out on X-factor attacking ability to offload. He's very much, especially in Super Rugby Pacific level, a complete footballer, Goog.
Yeah, you raised that to Tim Ryan. You don't mind sitting out match. Well, you hate it. Let's start there if you're a player. But if there's a plan and there's a reason and a rhyme, Tim has been told, you got to work on some size and strength and those sorts of things. That takes a lot out of you, especially in season. Very hard to put strength and size on. Impossible, in fact. But you can have rest and recuperation. Probably managing his workload. That's probably a smart play, right? They're going to go deep into the season. They're going to want him firing on all cylinders. Why not?
Is resting someone an easy, non-controversial excuse when you've potentially dropped someone or omitted someone who's in pretty good form?
Yes, Michael, yes it is.
Okay.
Yeah. No, look, there is the whole, we have a squad focus, we've got a long season to get ahead, we want to see different guys get opportunities. So you can look at the first 4 to 5 week block. If you're Les Kiss, you can say, OK, we're just going to try things. Guys, you're not getting dropped. We are just going to share some responsibility. And then 4 or 5 weeks in, we're going to go, OK, this guy is playing better than this guy. I'm going to pick and stick.
Yeah, well, I mean, the danger is if you drop and promise on the back end of it, you're not playing this week, but you're going to play next week. We just want to see this bloke. You're doing everything I need. And then you're not back there next week.
Well, then good as man of the match and you can't drop him.
Then you're in the whirlpool of doubt.
Yeah. A couple other changes just to mention. Josh Nasser will start at hooker with no Matt Fessler. And 18-year-old Trayvon Pritchard named on the bench for a potential Super Rugby Pacific debut, and he could come up against his older brother and Caden Pritchard, who plays outside centre for the Brumbies. Only one change to the starting 15 for the Brumbies. Rob Valentini has been rested, which means Tualima gets a chance to start at 6. And James Slipper this week, he will equal Wyatt Crockett's record, Goog, for most appearances in Super Rugby. That's every weekend we're celebrating a milestone of slips, it feels like, but just even drawing level with Crockett and pulling out plays like this in his career at 36. He just doesn't seem like he's slowing down in any way.
Yeah, well, what a great digital representation this year of the slips machine. Like, it's slips as Super Rugby competition to have. You just can't find enough descriptive and superlative words to describe what he offers to the Brumbies, what he offers generally to the environment of rugby, and just the way he goes about his work, Morgs. He's exactly the sort of person that you count on in amongst all the hubris and distraction and noise and excitement and professionalism of sport. You know that James Slipper is always going to give you the ingredients.
Well, now that he's a family man, he's probably a Kia Carnival, but what kind of car would Slips be? Is he an old-school defender, still reliable?
I reckon he's a big Land Cruiser, big 5-poster Land Cruiser with a couple of spotties on top, probably a swivel shotgun with a sight there, all that stuff. Bit of kangaroo blood off the back.
Maybe a step ladder just to get up into the driver's seat.
It's got some herbs. It's got a V8, definitely. He can get up and go when he needs to.
I'm going Toyota Tarago.
No chance, mate. You can throw the kids in the back of a cruiser and watch them bounce around.
Seatbelt's optional.
Pull the shirts off and tie it to the back of the tray. Happy days.
Interested to know what your car analogy is for this next player. There was obviously a big hole left in the centres at the Brumbies with Lenny Cattell going overseas. David Feluai, Morgs, probably underrated so far in the first 3 games and outstanding games that the Brumbies have put forward. But how have you seen him filling that midfield role at Canberra?
Yeah, especially at 12. When players are playing well, I like to look at who they're connected to on the field and where there's some common denominators. I think Feluai's been very much a glue position. I thought Pritchard's done very well at 13. The back three, Muirhead's probably had his best little block in a long, long time, and that's saying something because he's been consistent. Tool's got some ball. Meredith's looked good. And I think he's very much a glue position. When lots of players are playing well around someone, I think that says a lot about them. Does the basics well, sits in the Brumbies system well, has his core roles down pat, and his basic skills, his fundamentals of the game mean that, yes, he certainly must be someone that Joe Schmidt and Les Kiss are just keeping an eye on in case something happens with Lenny Cattell.
We know he's been close before. 2 years ago he was in Joe Schmidt's Wallabies squad. So the fact that he's playing well, you'd imagine the Wallabies coaches will be keeping a keen eye on him. He's right at home at the moment. Is the Romanian Rumbler down there in Canberra. Tip time, who wins Saturday night between the Reds and the Brumbies, Goog?
Brumbies.
Simple.
Close.
×2.
There you go. They start the season 4-0. Massive game it will be. Huge Australian derby down there in Canberra. You'll be able to catch that game on Stan Sport, live and exclusive from 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time. Coming up, we're going to preview the Waratahs and the Hurricanes, which makes us get a bit nostalgic and think about one of our favourite Super Rugby moments, one of our top 30 from the history of Super Rugby.
He's Cullen. Bit of room here. He's through.
What a bust here by Christian Cullen. Plenty of support, and what a dummy! Absolutely magnificent. Length of the field stuff. What a touch. Sensational individual performance. You won't see better than that. From deep on defence, there's outstanding attack. And he did it by getting on the outside of his man, as he would have done in the Hong Kong Sevens. He starts here, he looks across, they're away. Gets outside first, cuts back inside Matthew Burke, leaves the other defenders flat-footed.
He was like a magician sometimes on the field, wasn't he, Christian Cullen? Poetry in motion in many aspects of his game. The Hurricanes, Christian Cullen's old team, will take on the Waratahs tomorrow night in Sydney at Allianz Stadium. Catch that on Stan Sport. Is there people on the field who can create similar sort of magic tomorrow night than we saw from Christian Cullen in his career?
Well, yeah, there is on both teams, isn't there? But look, comparing anyone to Cullen, that's comparing a horse to Winks or Black Caviar. Let's not get carried away. Then there's some outstanding people on the field on Friday night. Yeah,
there's some great. I tell you, one thing that is we want to talk about individuals and definitely we love that. But the Hurricanes are a real team this year. They're really putting together some great passages of play. Their back line is connected to their forward pack. They seem to have a style of play rather than just broken field opportunism, which is what we saw. Cully write all about individuals creating magic out of nowhere. The Hurricanes work hard as a team. The Waratahs are going to be really challenged by the Hurricanes this Friday night.
A couple of changes Dan McKellar's made. 4 to the starting 15. Clem Halahola has moved from starting to bench. Ethan Dobbins is out of the 23, which means Folau Fainga comes back and he starts at hooker. And Liafi Talataina will start at number 6. What do you make of those changes, particularly when you look at, I guess, the form that Halahola in particular had produced in the first couple of games, and even Ethan Dobbins was pretty solid.
I like it because it's a little bit different with Halahola. He's just got his first taste of Super Rugby. I find with young players, they can't play 6 good games in a row in Super Rugby Pacific. You come in, get a taste, you play well, go back, continue to develop, work on your game. Talataina, I think he's a great profile of player for the Tars. Same with Dobbins, been outstanding. Okay, now you get the experience of a Fainga. So I like the balance and the way that Dan McKellar is approaching selection.
And speaking of experience, bring Andrew Kellaway back into the starting 15 will just provide probably a bit more voice and a bit more assurance at fullback in the back there?
Well, absolutely. He's a player that's got vast experience and you'll see that pushed forward in front of him and into the performance. What's important for Kells is that he just doesn't try to boil the ocean and return to some of his magic moments straight away, right? He's got to do 1 or 2 things really well, consistently well. That's all you really need. One thing to note, Waratahs' tight forwards have the highest percentage of work rate in the competition so far. And I think that's a big reason. In fact, I don't think, that is a big reason for their turnaround. The back line has got some time, got some space to consider, and when you bring someone like Kells into the team, he'll be able to pick those out much, much faster than possibly a younger back line will, and he'll steer those players in front of him.
He'd come off a huge season, of course, 2025 in work rate and being in squads and in and around teams. And I like the fact it's almost like he's had a longer pre-season. Yeah. I expect him to be physically ready to go. I love the communication he'll be able to provide to that potent back three. Suali'i, he'll help him in terms of getting more opportunity, which I know that the Tars will start to contrive a bit more, get Joseph some early balls. So I just like this selection, and they've got to get it right in terms of defensively and kick coverage against the Hurricanes. We're going to find out whether the Waratahs are a bit more of the real deal this week. Yeah, there's a lot of people talking about this. It could be their first real test of 2026. No Harry Potter this week means Tristan Riley gets the chance to start, and then former Sevens star Sid Harvey comes onto the bench to make his Super Rugby Pacific debut if he gets on the field. And the Waratahs shared a really special moment this week when Sid was able to share that news with his family.
Yeah, I'm number 23 this weekend. I tried to, I don't even know where he is. Oh yeah, I've got Josie in tears and my older sister in tears as well.
Oh my goodness, I think he just pulled up.
What's going on?
You're probably going to have to pull out of cricket because I'm making my debut Friday night. Unfortunately not.
Yeah, really special moment, and grateful that the Waratahs, I guess, shared that. You know, sometimes those sort of moments are kept in-house and they're private, and understandably so, but that was, I think all rugby fans are rejoicing in being able to watch that. What about the old man letting go a little expletive there? He didn't quite believe Sid was named to make his debut.
Yeah, I think he was prank looking for the camera somewhere else, waiting for someone to jump out of behind a screen. But look, it's their magic moments, and they're great milestones. And you know, that is one advent of digital media and the ability to record those moments in time. What a great memory for Sid. I tell you what, I'm excited to see him come off the bench into the Waratahs group. He's a top athlete, a top young, mature man, carries himself well. He's got a presence at training already. Really excited to see him.
Yeah, we'll talk about it more on the night, but this is a great lesson and a great story because, yes, there was some interest from rugby league, but this is a kid who wasn't schooled in Sydney at a private school. He played for the Narrabri Blue Boars. He played for CHS. He made teams from the country pathway, and he's gone all the way. He's going to make his Waratahs debut. Yeah,
excellent story. We look forward to him getting on the field. We look forward to a couple of electric wingers who will start the game. Of course, Max Jorgensen's been in outstanding form for the Waratahs and up against Finganofo from the Hurricanes. This is like... You don't often see wingers go head-to-head, but just when you talk about two here, Morgs, a good matchup.
Yeah, we often have, of course, talked about Jorgensen the last month or so. I just love the air of confidence he has now. And this, we're going to get a better look at Finganofo because I reckon he's almost been better than Jorgensen in terms of the individual brilliance he's brought because the Hurricanes have needed it at times. They've had some issues around 10 in constructing their plays. Obviously coming off a tough one last week in Fiji. That kind of player is a guy that can write their season. If they can beat the Waratahs in Sydney, and they've obviously got a good record there, it just fixes up their season. And this is a guy that can go 1, 2, 3, quick, 3 tries, and he can break this game wide open this weekend.
How big of a dent was last week losing in Fiji, and how big a challenge is it for them this week, Goog, trying to respond and get back up after that?
Well, you know, it's the week cycle of a professional player. You get to respond very quickly. The fortunate thing, when you lose, the week's too long. When you win, it's too short. So you're excited about playing. You get to right the wrong and get back on the field. That's what every athlete wants to do. Put it in their rear vision mirror, get back on the field, learn from their mistakes and create opportunities to move forward. They'll be extremely well positioned to do that.
And a big inclusion, and man who made his All Blacks debut last year, Duplessis Karifi, comes back in for the Hurricanes. What a selection.
Yeah, what a selection. He's the New Zealand players and culturally they talk about Moana. You know, he's a man who plays above his size. He's a ball of muscle. I mean, he's got muscles in his spit, that kid. But he's just an out-and-out ball of Morgs. He is the archetypal open side Kiwi flanker. Very good.
Yeah, and he very much has stepped into the role of the Artie Savia in his absence from the Hurricanes. When he went to Moana last year, he became the talisman of the Hurricanes. And having him back in at an important match away from home couldn't be better timing.
You were on fire today with your analogies, metaphors,
well,
to be fair.
I think I'm in trouble. So I've got to pretend I went to the university that I played for as well, boys. So, you know, just trying.
You fake it till you make it, as they say. Good. Quick tip, who wins tomorrow at Allianz Stadium, Tars or Hurricanes?
No, I went first last time. You can't look at me.
That was the easy one.
You go.
We knew you
it's
were.
not easy. Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think maybe the Hurricanes.
Okay. Your heart really wants to go Tars, doesn't it?
Yeah, and mind as well, but I'm not convinced yet. I want to be convinced.
Okay.
I'm still going to back the Tars. I like their tight forward work rate. They're good. I think they're going to manhandle their way through.
Okay, we're split here, but that's what we love about this game of rugby union. A huge match tomorrow at Allianz Stadium. Sign up to Stan Sport. Make sure you catch it from 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time. Coming up, we're going to preview the rest of Super Rugby Pacific Round 4. We celebrate the Grassroots with Club Rugby Round.
Grassroots rugby, I think it's the best thing about rugby. It's so important in our country. Probably cliche, the backbone of the rugby, but it really is. It's the most supported sort of rugby. Everyone is so proud of the club they come from here, the Gundara Devils.
My earliest memory of rugby would have to be my first game for the Valley Eagles, and my first memory was actually kicking a goal on a Friday night footy we used to play when we were younger.
That is a young, very red-headed Andrew Kellaway playing down at Hunters Hill Rugby Club.
Some of my best memories playing for the Clovelly Eagles, Patnagle Park, to some of my closest friends that I hold to this day.
That's where the heart of rugby lies. You know, for myself, that's where most of my life's been evolved around is the game of rugby, and it is very important, club rugby.
Played for the Balmain Wolves, which is just a local club at the time, and played there for most of my juniors.
I mean, you talk about constants in your life. Huntersville Rugby has probably been that for me.
The Gundarra Red Devils, got so many fond memories there, playing with my brothers. It's where I played my junior footy, and I guess where I fell in love with this game.
My two closest mates I met playing rugby for Huntersville, so it's a club that's given me and my family a lot, and hopefully the same for many, many other families.
Just the community it builds throughout the grassroots is amazing, and the pathways it gives you to get to the top level is really great.
So many wonderful stories about how players made their way to the top through the grassroots channels, and saw a couple of Clovelly Eagles juniors in there, Tom Wright, as well as Ben Donaldson, who we now know plays for the Western Force, and he'll line up for the Force on Saturday afternoon down in Dunedin against the Highlanders. A couple of changes, Morgs, for the Force. Brendan Payne-Ramosa, Nick Champion de Crepney are back in. Big ins in their forward pack.
Yeah, it certainly is. This is a Force team. They've got a bit of confidence back last week. That win in Pukekohe was important for them. But you get international test quality back into your forward pack is exactly what they need. This is one of those sort of ladder deciding matches for the Force. They know they're going to get great carry out of de Crepney. They're going to get good set piece out of BPA, and he's very, very busy around the park as well, and he can challenge over the ball. So you get experience, you get quality of performance, you get guys who know their core role in a forward pack that must dominate the Highlanders if there to be any chance, because they can push the Highlanders further down the ladder and get their season back on track after dropping those 2 games at home.
And this is the second match in a 3-match tour for the Force. Beat Moana last week in Pukekohe, and after this game we'll go on to Wellington to play the Hurricanes. But the Highlanders at home already showing that they're a bit of a force down in Dunedin, beat the Crusaders there in round 1. Cool. Do you think that the key for the Force in beating the Highlanders on the road is containing their captain, Tamosi Tavatavanawe?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Quite often you want to try and find team performance, but this is all about one human for the Highlanders. He's talismanic for them in every way, gets off the line, makes important defensive reads, and then carries them out of trouble. A lot of his stuff that's most successful is repair work when they're most under pressure, and to have that sort of player consistently delivers and gets the team moving forward again, they're invaluable, and that's what they'll need against the Force. The Force have got some of the abrasive quality that they will need to upset the Highlanders forward pack so that they don't have opportunity to create broken field action. I don't know if the Force are going to have enough firepower to get the Highlanders away from home. I'm worried for the Force, but I'm excited to see what the Highlanders will bring.
So your tips on the Highlanders at home?
I just think the Highlanders are going to have enough in them at home.
What about you, Morgs?
Yeah, probably the same. I want to tip the Force.
Yeah.
If it was in Perth, I'd tip the Force.
Yep.
I think the Highlanders heading home, I think they were poor in patches last week. They'll be filthy about their performance in Brisbane. I know Jamie Joseph was. And there's some easy fixes in the attacking 22, which mean they could be a lot better.
I reckon JJ will be a bit fired up too.
Yeah, missing out on the All Blacks gig, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. Still to come today. But the second match on Saturday, it's a huge triple header on Stan Sport. The Chiefs up against Moana Pasifika. And the biggest talking point out of this game, Morgs and Goog, is the return of Damien McKenzie, who's missed the first 3 weeks. What?
You missed the world's easiest.
Return of the Mack.
Yeah. Well, that's one of your best.
I didn't want to. I wrote it down. I just didn't want to be.
Did you
predictable.
even write it down, not use it?
I didn't want to be predictable. Return of the Mack. He's back. He's now a dad.
Return of the Mack.
He's ready to.
That's not a song though, is it? Return of the Mack. It's Mack the Knife, but not Return of the Mack.
Return of the Mack.
Is it really?
Mack. It's probably not the right genre for you.
Yeah, right.
But
it's probably not music either. It's talking music.
He's a big in, Morgs.
See how now that he's a weekend today host, he loves singing and stuff. He's happy to dance and sing
pretending to cook. Here's what we prepared earlier. Scrambled eggs. An apple.
The key to a good frittata.
Is an apple.
Yes.
This show's gone off the rails.
It's actually entertaining now. No, so D-Mac's back, which is hugely important, of course. It's probably the right match for him to not ease back in, but to come in. You get a bit of ring rustiness, but he also gets his half back as well. Rutman comes back with him. Yeah. That's important as well for them, so they can come back in, get 60 minutes, get the job done. They would be thinking, get rid of some of the cobwebs, steer this team around the park. The Chiefs, they look primed just to get those guys back. They can go to another level and then consistency of selection from here on in, they can go on a big run.
Yeah, Chiefs, I think Chiefs will be one of the better teams at the end of this year. They just look very, very good. They've got great depth. They know who they are. They've known who they are for a long time. They're really connected to that region and the people. I think they're extremely, extremely dangerous. I think D-Mac's going to make a huge difference as well to a team that's already international standard.
Yeah, and Moana Pasifika, after losing last weekend, love to get back into the winner's circle. They've got a former All Black in Augustine Pulu, who will start at 9 alongside Jackson Garden-Bashop in the halves. I assume both of you tipping the Chiefs in this one.
Yes, that's a good assumption.
Yeah, Chiefs will win well.
All right, we can move
very
on.
well.
Thank you,
double-digit well.
The give and take.
Hey?
Great. And the next
by 28.
Yeah.
Right. And then the next match, the third of 4 on Saturday, actually. It's a quadruple header, not a triple header. A huge Kiwi clash in the Blues and the Crusaders. And significantly for the Blues, Goog, is Beauden Barrett will make his first appearance of the year, named to come off the bench for Vern Cotter's men.
Another extremely important person if you're playing name the sports star and you need double letter name. Beauden Barrett, reverse the decision. Just for your...
What game is that?
It's like Henry Honorball, straight back. Yeah, you know. Beauden Barrett is a huge player for the Blues. And I tell you what, they'll be... This is when we talk about when you lose, the week can't go quick enough. This is where the Blues are in as well, right? With the Brumbies, that last minute, 83rd minute loss. They will have wanted to play the game straight away after the match. So they're a dangerous side. Beauden Barrett coming back takes them through the roof.
Yeah, they would have dead set up the Brumbies and said, boys, do over.
Can we do that again?
Because they did everything right.
Double or nothing.
They did everything right. It was a classic Blues versus Brumbies match where they physically dominated in patches, got that lead, and were going to close it out. Just they got a couple of things wrong at the back end to give the Brumbies the chance. They'll bounce back hard. Barrett, has he been working on his golf game? Geez, his handicap must have come down last few weeks. So he'll be fresh. I think Vern Cotter will be so happy to have him back because he was disappointed with the way they played against the Force, disappointed with the result in Canberra. While the content was much better, you get a little bit of class, someone that can steer you around the park. That might be the missing ingredient for them to up not just their results but their content.
You say a little bit of class coming back for the Blues, a little bit of class missing for the Crusaders. No Will Jordan, who's been rested this week. How much are they going to lose without him?
Well, it's an interesting week to rest.
3 weeks in.
That's the other thing. These two regions, these two provinces, these two teams, they hate each other.
Yeah.
Hate each other. It is Auckland versus Christchurch, Canterbury versus that greater Auckland area Goog. This is proper, not local derby, but there's a genuine dislike.
And we know the Crusaders ended the Blues title defence last year in the finals of Super Rugby Pacific 2025. Who wins this? The Blues at home against the Crusaders.
Blues.
There you go. Short and sharp.
Timmy Horan. Quick, we can be
Timmy
quick.
Horan could learn a few things about
short and sweet,
there.
two things I'm not.
Of course, massive Saturday of Super Rugby Pacific on your home rugby Stan Sports. Sign up to Stan Sports so you don't miss a moment of the action. Stay with us. Coming up, we are going to have a big, long chat about former Wallabies coach Dave Rennie now being appointed to the All Blacks.
I'm really proud. It's a massive honour. I'm aware of the responsibility and expectations of the role, and really looking forward to it. I'm probably the type of coach who gets an arm around people while I'm jabbing them in the ribs. I care about people. I think people want to know that you care. But I'll also be driving them to be the best they can be. I want them to know that, I'll put together a group of people who will work extremely hard to make the country proud. And we've got a lot of talent here, as we always have had. And so we certainly want to grow those guys, and I guess everything's gearing towards a World Cup in 27. So excited about what we can do and what we can achieve.
Yes, one of the biggest coaching jobs in world rugby is finally filled, and former Wallabies coach Dave Rennie will now take the reins of the All Blacks. Our friends across the ditch on The Breakdown on Sky Sport NZ, which you can watch on Stan Sport, have a special on Dave Rennie taking that All Blacks gig. It is massive news because when Scott Razor-Robertson was moved on earlier this year, I think most of the rugby world then focused on who would be next. Initially, Dave Rennie's name wasn't the loudest one that was out there. It was probably more Jamie Joseph, but he certainly came home with a wet sail. And I guess from a Wallabies and Australian rugby point of view, there feels like there's a bit of irony in this, given the way he moved on from, was moved on from the Wallabies gig a couple of years ago, Goog, and now we're going to face him in Bledisloe later this year.
Yeah, I'm not sure irony. I'm not sure there's any irony in it. It's a coach that's a very good coach that's gone away and learnt from his experience with the Australian team. He's a New Zealand coach through and through, and it's one of the most prestigious roles in the world, the All Blacks. And the manner in which Dave Rennie has gone about applying and then having conversation and seemingly coming from a quiet position is the sort of person that he is. He does his work. He doesn't want to be the most recognisable person, but he's certainly one of the most knowledgeable in the room, and the All Blacks have recognised that. New Zealand Rugby have recognised that. And in a time of extreme instability, which has a lot of synergy with when he came into Australian environment as well, he will right the ship.
Yeah, very different style to Scott Robertson as well, and so I think it's a deliberate shift in what they're requiring in terms of what a head coach of the All Blacks will bring. He'll be a hands-on coach. He will teach the All Blacks players some things that he wants to bring in. He'll be huge, a little bit like Joe Schmidt, on the basics and fundamentals of the game, on detail of the game, but also, of course, some of the soft skills as well about bringing a group together, which is hugely important. The Wallabies side of things, it was just left himself vulnerable, unfortunately, with his 36% win record, dropped the game against Italy. That looks a little bit different now, that loss in the context of how well Italy have gone and the players for Italy that were on the field that day. Reece Hodge hits the post in a Bledisloe and it's a draw instead of a win. He gets done by a refereeing decision in Melbourne on the bell, and that win record could look very different. So that's international coaching. And one thing about Dave Rennie, that was his first international coaching job. He would have learnt a lot from that. He had great assistants, Laurie Fisher, Scott Wiseman, learn off those guys, went away, coached successfully in Japan. He's a better coach now. He's better prepared to be an international head coach. And I think a lot of people in Australia, begrudgingly, but wish him well because of everything that he gave to the Wallaby environment and how great a person he was when we were with him.
I recall when he was appointed to the Wallabies gig after the 2019 Rugby World Cup and taking over from Michael Cheika. At the same time, the All Blacks appointed Ian Foster, and former All Blacks coach, Rugby World Cup winner Graham Henry was asked at a dinner, I think, whether the right decision was made from a New Zealand rugby point of view, and he sort of in no uncertain terms said that he thought Dave Rennie was better than Foster and he would have liked to see Dave Rennie get the All Blacks job. As fate would have it, that's where he's ended up now. So he's very well regarded by people in rugby. You mentioned even Australian rugby supporters are probably happy for him. Very well regarded by players as well, which is probably a better testament to you as a coach. We saw Quade Cooper put out a pretty obvious and forthright statement about Dave Rennie getting the All Blacks job. But that says a lot about the man and how he's regarded by players who he's coached.
Yeah, I think I was exchanging a couple of texts with Quade yesterday and a few other guys that were coached by him were just discussing his attributes and bits and pieces. It was interesting that to a man, everyone, whether you're Australian or not, from even the New Zealand 20s guys that had been coached by him, some of the Chiefs people, I know Wayne Smith, who spent time with him at the Chiefs when they won 2 competitions, regards him super highly. Everyone expects him to be successful, expects him to make the All Blacks much more dangerous, and is very, very happy for the man himself.
Yeah, I mean, these are all players he selected. I mean, Quade Cooper was brought back into the Australian team from Siberia. It's of course an attraction and an affinity. I would send the same text about Eddie Jones. He picked me for my whole international career. I have a very different experience with Eddie Jones to what Quade Cooper had.
Who wouldn't you send a text about? Yeah.
And again, it doesn't mean that the validity of that text is any less significant. It's a wonderful public statement of affection for a human because they had a good relationship and a good outcome together. There were probably a lot of people that didn't have a great outcome with all of the characters that you come through in contact with sport. The important message now is that Dave Rennie has taken himself in a dignified, honest and integral way through the transition period in Japan, been very constructive and respectful of how he exited the Australian environment. So the reasoning and the process are two very different formulas that we're dealing with here. The process and the way in which and the manner in which Dave Rennie was exited was probably disappointing from an Australian point of view because that's not how we roll. And we're very pleased to see Dave Rennie coaching the All Blacks.
Absolutely, we are. We'll certainly make the Bledisloe contest later in the year just that little bit extra spicy. If it needs any more spice, it probably doesn't, but it will add to that. Some other massive coaching news this week. on home soil is the extension of Stephen Larkham at the Brumbies. And there was a wild report a couple of weeks ago that he may have been in the frame for an All Blacks assistant role, which seemed to be way off the mark in the end. He's extended his time in Canberra, which is a great thing for the Brumbies, but a great thing for the Australian rugby ecosystem.
Yeah, I mean, that is a huge advancement and a very, very good decision from, Rugby Australia and the Brumbies, being a vertical or below Rugby Australia in terms of licence ownership and commercial decisions. Bernie Larkham speaks for himself now, his knowledge and intellect that he brings to the game, and now a large degree of empathy, Morgs. Bernie was a fantastic team man. You wanted to have him around you on the field and off the field. He's a great joiner of both ends of backs and in the integrity of intellect, but also humour, Morgs. But he's a very, very good mature coach now.
Yeah, I see more of himself. I think at times early on he felt he had to be the coach teacher, a little bit more standoffish. I see the whole package now. I think he's a complete coach. I've seen him improve every single year. I've seen him coach our players, whether it's at international level or domestic level. Some of the soft skills around it. The man's our next Wallaby coach. Les Kiss gets a run. He will hopefully be hugely successful. When the time comes, we have a ready-made replacement who is locked into our most successful province. Hopefully he's won a competition by the time that decision comes. And now we have a runway of coaches that can coach our national team that are within our ecosystem.
Do you think that's got anything to do with the timeline of him re-signing to the end of 2028, which is when Les Kiss has signed up until to be the Wallabies coach? Is that coincidence? Is that by design?
No, I think it's a couple of year extension. It's pretty logical, another extra few years there. It is timely, yes, of course. Maybe it helps him be part of the environment. But best case scenario, Kissy goes brilliantly well. And he goes all the way to 31 and we reassess it. And whenever the time comes, we just have someone there ready to go.
Yep. Now, big news this week in the rugby world, and it's a big weekend of rugby on your home of rugby, Stan Sport, not just Super Rugby Pacific Round 4. The World Series 7 circuit goes to Vancouver, so you see the Aussie men and women in action over there. And, of course, Round 4 of the Six Nations this weekend, and a really pivotal one at that. We know France are the only undefeated team at the moment. They'll take on Scotland. But before we look at that, Italy and England, plenty of changes for England, and you referenced already, Morgs, where Italy are at in World Rugby. This is a fascinating game.
It's a dangerous, dangerous game. An England team who were high-flying, thought they're going to win the Grand Slam, win everything, and now this isn't a bananas game. This is a proper trench warfare game with your best team, let alone making so many changes. This is the intriguing one.
You know who England are? They're all packed on that Homer Simpson skateboard when he tries to jump the Grand Canyon, and he's like, this is the greatest thing. I think I'm going to make it. I think I'm going to. And then he just goes, yeah, nothing. Usually you're going to really take him to the sword.
So who wins?
I reckon Italy.
Where is it?
In Italy?
No, where?
No, not off the top of my head.
Just
Question
Italy.
without notice.
Just the vibe.
I'm hoping producer Cam comes through with that information.
Italy.
Just quickly.
I reckon Italy will nail. Get him. Come on, Morgs. Go with
Who's the ref?
Oh, here we go.
No, it's important. What kind of game will it be?
Right. What bus are they driving? Yeah. Where are they staying? What are they eating?
What's the pre-match meal?
Stadio Olimpico in Rome.
Oh, it is in Rome, yeah.
Yeah.
Italy? Okay, Italy.
Italy.
Good.
Two Italys.
What's the line?
There you go.
Cam?
Oh, jeez. You asked a lot of questions here.
Well, you're the host, mate. I thought you'd come prepared.
Oh, yeah, but I don't know everything. You're the expert. I just guide us around. Scotland, France.
You went there.
You tee it up, we'll whack it.
Yeah, exactly. In Scotland. Scotland v France. Scotland still a live chance to win the Six Nations, and first time they would ever have won the Six Nations.
I think France are a much better side. With confidence, they'll win.
Yeah, France.
All right, love that. And any chance of an upset in Ireland hosting Wales? Wales got very close to beating Scotland.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
No, close ain't going to get you the cigar.
There we go. Massive weekend of rugby on Stan Sport. Six Nations, Round 4 coming your way live and exclusive or on demand. Coming up, we're going to take a look at another position up for grabs in the Legends 15. And the man to my left, Justin Harrison, he's a nominee. He's got some great highlights.
Turnover. May have been the last throw of the dice for the Waratahs. There's no one at fullback. Walker chasing hard. So is McRae. And he threw it away. Oh no! And big Justin Harrison has scored his first ever Super 12 try.
There he is, the giraffe in full flight, Justin Harrison. How good.
Hey?
Hey?
He said so many highlights, they showed one.
Is Willy Wonka giving you the day off today? You're a giraffe.
Well,
You
what?
seriously
Sorry,
give him in
the
draft?
gazelle,
Well,
cheetah,
something.
wildebeest.
Yeah,
I don't know,
that's-
but you had a
it's-
big smile on your face.
It is. Well, yeah, look, it's a great fluke, isn't it?
Was that 0-2 you scored your first? How many tries did you end up scoring?
One super, one test against Italy. One test try, thank you. You're welcome.
And one memorable line
Outpaced
out
Phil
win.
Waugh in that clip, I don't remind him. But I don't know how I'm in that, besides being able to vote multiple times. That's probably the only reason I'm there.
I think you're selling yourself short. I think you definitely deserve to be one of the nominees, and you wouldn't look out of place if you were in the 15. But it is a pretty stacked.
You're just saying that because you're within arm's reach.
I am. It's a long arm's reach.
It's an honour to be nominated.
It's an honour, yeah.
But it is
vote for me.
It is a stacked field if you look at some of the names. We know that the front row is full now. White, Crockett at loose head, Kev Mialamu at hooker, and Owen Franks at tight head rounds out an all New Zealand front row. But some of the names nominated for the lock position, Morgs and Justin, you know, not just yourself, Nathan Sharp, John Eales, James Horwell, Brodie Retallick, Victor Matfield, Sam Whitelock, Brad Thorne. I've forgotten Brad Thorne, nominated twice.
How was David Giffen not there? If you're thinking of Australian locks, Giff is the best. Got to be. He's rock solid.
In Super.
It's Super. Yeah, Test though as well. He was pretty handy.
What sort of case do you think someone like John Eales has, given he's such a legend in international rugby and Australian rugby, but he played those first 5-6 years of Super Rugby, only the very beginning.
That's Goog remembering that he forgot Eales when he said Giff. That's the best ever Australian lock, which is valid.
Mate, Giff was getting man of the match performances playing with Ealesy in second row. He changed the way the line-out was.
Yeah, in terms of passing on line-out IP,
just unbelievable.
Australia had the best line-out in the world.
Changed the game.
And taught the Harrisons and Sharps.
And Ealesy's amazing.
Harrisons and, Vickermans and those guys. Yeah. For a decade afterwards, Australia's line-out was off the back of David Giffen's IP.
But then you think about names that aren't, right? Norm Maxwell, Chris Jack, Ollie Williams. One thing Super Rugby did for a long time is just have, locks that were very good positionally and masters of their own domain.
All right, I'm going to put you both on the spot. Who would you pick if you can pick two locks from the list of players nominated?
Victor Matfield, definitely.
Yep.
And then I'm still backing Giff. I still reckon Giff's got to be there. He's not even on the list.
I thought he would be.
Yeah.
I thought he'd be there.
So the two Brumbies locks nominated are you and Radiki Sama.
Big DK, who could play on the wing.
He played everywhere.
Look at the career of a Thorne. Not a classic lock, but look at the career of a Brad Thorne.
Yeah. And he's nominated twice for the Crusaders and the Highlanders.
Yeah.
Yep.
Get it.
Retallick,
did his job well and tough, but,
Sam Whitelock.
I want people who are going to change the way the game's played from their position. Sam Whitelock, yeah, he's handy.
Well, next 2 weeks you could end up with a Matfield backies both are.
Yes.
Locking
the two wild cards in there.
Both of them, no.
Yeah.
Didn't catch a cold.
Well, you guys have had your say. It'll be the fans ultimately through the QR code on your screen.
No.
The QR code on your screen now. You'll get to vote on the Legends 15. We're up to the lock position now. There are plenty of talented players. It's absolutely stacked, that nomination. Stacked lineup of rugby this weekend on your home of rugby, Stan Sport. Great to have Justin Harrison and Morgan Turanui here showing off our grassroots connections as we celebrate Club Rugby Round and Super Rugby Pacific Round 4. And then, of course, on Monday, the boys from Between Two Posts will wrap everything up in a nice little bow. Great to have your company. Until next time, bye for now.